Everyone, you're on the 14th Step, a podcast about addiction and recovery. My name is Mark. I am a professional counselor and a recovering addict.
I think I'm doing that backwards every time.
What is that? What is that? 14?
Is that right? If I'm facing the... Okay, anyway. So
it's good enough. It's good enough. Y'all know.
On the 41th step.
We need a gang sign, though.
Yes. I don't even know what I just did.
You just made the Crips mad.
I made somebody mad somewhere on the world. On our world famous podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so today's topic... I'm Skip. I'm a recovery coach, by the way. Today we're going to tell you what no one tells you about sobriety.
We would like to think that getting sober is just about putting down the drug or the drink.
Yes.
And that if we're in an addiction, whether it's a year or 5 or 20 years, that we can just kind of deal with it on our own, quietly put it down without telling anyone, pretend like it never happened, and move on with our lives, and we're going to be fine.
Are you reading my diary?
That's the way I think all addicts fantasize about this outcome.
Boy, I sure did.
And I think what no one tells you about sobriety is the lengths that you have to be willing to go to get it.
Ugh.
And where that journey is going to take you and what kind of fear you have to conquer to get there. Like, you really, really have to want it.
It's like mountain climbing almost.
It is. And you've had that experience.
I've had that experience. And I probably tried to quit over a 20-year period of time. I was at least once a year, if not more. So I've gone through withdrawals 20 times, maybe, 15 maybe. I mean, I'm just whatever. Tried to quit. That was my life. I wanted to quit taking the pills I was taking, never have to tell anybody about it, just be able to pat myself on the back and say that's one other thing I was able to conquer, and just go, man, that was a bad period of time in my life.
What was the fear, or what was holding you back from wanting to tell people about it, or wanting to kind of hide it and
Well,
it's an obvious question, I know.
It is. The most obvious thing is I'm in ministry. I work and have worked in full-time vocational ministry in a church since 1997, 1998. So that was first and foremost. Is I didn't want to have to. How can you do that? How can you work in a church and then have a problem taking pain pills?
Because you're in a position of leadership,
big time,
where people are looking to you
big time
for answers, and you're a model of living for people. You're in the spotlight.
The outside package, I know, is incredible, but the inside
that's perfect.
Was a mess. The inside was a mess, and it got to be more of a mess the longer that I kept it inside. And I knew, here's the thing that I knew even 2 years into my issue, that for me to get, if I was ever going to get past this, I was going to have to be that guy. And by that, I mean, I was going to have to be the guy that goes to treatment, and the guy that admits everything, the guy that doesn't keep anything a secret about it anymore. I'm going to have to tell everybody about it, because that's my personality type. And I knew that from my ministry, in dealing with people in ministry, that I don't care what it is that you're trying to recover from in your life or try to get past in your life, whether it's mental health or relationship or anything, you have to be willing to be very open and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that word again.
I can't pronounce that. And able to share, because if you can't do that, then you can't help somebody else, because that's the whole end of this story, is by the end of your journey needs to turn around and be able to help somebody. And I knew that if I was ever going to try to help somebody, it was going to be the experiences and difficulties that I trudged. I was going to have to climb that mountain to show another person how it could be done.
And the things that you said that you knew you would have to do, which is openly sharing, telling people about it, being vulnerable. This is why so many people never get clean, because those are the things that I think addicts fear the most.
And there are good reasons.
There's great reasons. Addiction in a lot of ways is the survival mode. And the way that we survive in our addiction is by being secretive and not sharing. Because if I'm addicted to my substance and I'm having to work my little hustle to get it and to make sure I have enough, and I'm not going to tell people about that, because if I start telling people about it, someone's going to make me stop.
You know how they say that there's tools that you use in sobriety? There's tools you use to stay addicted to.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a whole nother toolkit.
And we're good at that toolkit.
Oh, man. Real good.
I can make myself
That's just
appear...
That's spy tools.
Spy tools, right. I can make myself appear like I've got it all under control. No one is knowing how many like doctor numbers I have or contacts I have or where I have to go here or where I have to go there or why I'm really late or why I'm calling in sick. It's a double life that I'm having to live. If an addict wants to have any kind of job or anything or uphold a family, like, it's a double life.
It is. It's like you're a double agent, but you're not working for anybody.
Yeah, but it's like way sadder.
Oh, it's way worse. Yeah.
And so doing the things, the links that we have to go to and the courage that we have to have, there's no wonder that you can't just do that by yourself. You have to have support.
That's right. And so in what no one tells you about sobriety is once you get sober, that doesn't fix your life. It doesn't fix you, does it?
It doesn't. And that is reflected in 12-step recovery, because what is step one is putting down the drug, or the step one is getting sober.
That's right.
Step 2 through 12 is all the other stuff.
That's right.
That really has nothing to do with a drug or a drink. It has to do with this.
That's right. That's right. It doesn't fix you. It's not a lightning bolt.
It's not. And so if that is scary, which it is, what can we do about it?
Yeah, the steps were a really big deal for me because when I first saw them and read them, my first thing was, because of my personality type, I was like, I'll knock these out in the next couple of days. Seriously. Because the first 3, I was like, well, I work at a church. I'm in ministry.
You got that.
I got that, man. I'll skate through these like an otter on the ocean wave, man. And I got step 4, and luckily, I really took it seriously and I actually looked up some things on YouTube and heard people talking about it and what a big deal it was. And even in the meetings that I went to, some people were talking about it. And I feel like I did my due diligence, which is taking a moral inventory of all the things that I felt have wronged me in my life, or things that I did, or things that hurt my feelings, however you want to put it. And it's you're not going to come up with this list in an hour. This is the thing that has to happen over months sometimes, or whatever, because in the oddest times you'll be driving and all of a sudden something will pop into your mind from when you were 9 years old that really hurt your feelings, or when somebody did something. I would sit and write that down on my phone.
Mm-hmm. Those survival tools that we learn in our addiction creates this knotted ball of yarn inside of us. Like it gets so twisted up. If you lie for 20 years, like what does that even feel like? You know, in the first few weeks of my sobriety, and people are like, well, what's wrong with you? I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't even know where to start. And what this 12 steps do, especially when you start getting into the 4th step and on down, where you're doing the real kind of work on yourself, is it starts to uncover maybe a little spot here or a spot there that you can start to untangle some of that.
That's exactly right.
And start to make sense of it. Because the way that I am, and I was the same way. I was sitting in rehab in 2013, and I was looking at the wall. The steps were on there. I was like, oh, yeah, I can do that. I started making amends right off the bat. I was like, oh, yeah, done. Step 4, done. Okay, I just did it in my head. We're good.
Yeah. Yep. Now let's go help some people.
Yeah, I'm ready. Day 1, I'm ready to go.
Send me out, Chief.
But it's a process, and it's a daily process for me. It's not something that I can finish and graduate from. This is kind of a wrestling with myself and trying to do what I don't want to do necessarily in order to stay good so that I don't go back to that drug or the drink.
And I've seen so many people if you have to go through detox or you have a certain amount of time off of your drug of choice or alcohol, your emotions get very raw.
Oh, yeah.
And you feel everything times 10.
Yeah.
And that's a scary, scary place to be because you want so bad to cover that up. And you better figure out through your program that you're working or your meetings, use the tools that people are surrounding you with to fix that issue for the time being. Because and that is either go to a group or go to a meeting, talk to somebody, talk to your counselor, your sponsor, recovery coach.
Yep.
Get past that feeling. And because as time goes by, those tense emotions are not going to be as bad. Time is your friend.
Oh, yeah.
And all those feelings won't be as bad. Will you still probably have some of them? Yes. But guess what? When you get past all those, we just said being sober is not going to fix your life. All those same issues are going to be there whether you're using or you're not using. But guess what? When all those problems are there, when you can turn around and go to bed at the end of the day and say, guess what? I didn't have to take a drug today to numb those. That is a miracle.
Well, I would say that if you don't surround yourself with people in recovery or counselors or people in meetings, then I think your chances are they're just not as good.
They're not.
I would suggest for everyone who's trying to get sober, use every resource that you have. Go to meetings, get a sponsor, get a recovery coach, get a counselor, do all of those things because you are going to be a raw nerve.
For a long time.
And if you don't have that support, that's going to be overwhelming very, very fast.
It is. And it is, a raw nerve is the best way to put it, because I remember even crying by watching a dumb commercial.
Yeah, a puppy.
Anything.
Yeah.
Especially music, because that's such a big part of my life. And that helps me, but it also just exposed my feelings. My feelings were so raw because I hadn't felt anything in years.
Yeah.
Like that. And we are supposed to have up and down emotions in our life. I just couldn't regulate them, It's
hard for us to trust, but I would encourage anyone, trust the program. The program is there as a step-by-step thing that will give you relief from addiction.
Yes.
It eases you into it. If you can have the courage to walk into a meeting and sit down and say, my name is, and I'm an addict, then you're like on the path.
That is almost like you're 90% there.
You are. Because if you can summon that kind of courage to do that, you can do anything that the program asks you to do.
Once I told at my first meeting and I said, I'm skipping, I'm an addict.
Yeah.
Once that came out of my body, I knew I was going to be what I always knew I was going to be.
You know that you could be okay.
I even walked up on stage at my church at that point and told the entire congregation of my struggles. And guess what? All my fears and all this stuff that I built up, none of that happened.
That's right. And that act of doing that, where you're on a stage telling your congregation about what you struggled with, you couldn't even have fathomed that 10 years before that or 5 years before that.
Never, ever.
And the fact that you can kind of incrementally work up to that with a program that's designed to unravel all that stuff, that's what recovery is.
It is.
And it's a really beautiful journey, to be honest. It's something that if we don't want to miss out on that, because that's growth. That's where we stop killing ourselves and start living.
That's right.
And we learn that that source of shame that we carried with us so long is the very thing that gives other people hope.
That's it.
And it heals that shame.
Amen. That's a amen to that. That's the end of that journey. Is your story and your journey is going to help somebody else. And I think so. What no one tells you about sobriety is the great lengths you're going to have to go to get it, but also it's only the beginning of your journey.
That's right. And it's not something I think that should frustrate anyone from trying to get sober. It's just we don't have to think about the whole mountain. We just have to think about the first step of that mountain.
That's right.
The first footing.
That's it.
We try not to look all the way at the top or look all the way down. We just look at the next step that's right in front of us, and it will start to make sense as we take those little steps.
It does. It does.
If you're struggling with addiction, the first step that you can do is talk to someone about it. Go to a meeting. Call a counseling center. Try to talk to someone that you trust. It will lead you on a path that you cannot even imagine how good it can be.
Yeah, you can even leave a comment here and ask a question to us. We can direct you to some great resources as well. Or if you have any questions about what we talked about today, please leave it in the comments.
Yeah.
Or if you have a question you'd like us to discuss, we'd love to do that. But thank you for joining us today on the 14th Step.
Thanks, guys.